big round of applause for you. Thank you so much for joining us as a speaker and taking this Python Selenium boot up session. It's 1 hour session. Shreyas is a highly motivated QA professional with a zeal to innovate and automate every possible functional test scenario, but not demeaning the primitive importance of functional testing, which is very important. I agree. And he has around 8 years of experience in software testing arena with strong sense of test planning, test automation. He has a progressive attitude towards test automation development and believes in sustainable and generic test automation frameworks. In his current role of senior test automation engineer at Accenture, he works with Selenium, Java, Serenity BDD in the banking sector. His topic for the day is Python Selenium Boot Up, intended to make everyone here at ATA Virtual Meetup understand that Python is a strong programming language, which basically should easy to use with Selenium and build your custom solutions. With that, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and invite Shreyas to share the screen and take us ahead with your session, Shreyas. Thank you so much for being with us, Shreyas. All yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Adi, for sharing the information on my. Okay, I'll start sharing my screen now, and we would start to understand on the very topic, which means Python Selenium boot up. So a few guidelines. I have very few slides to go ahead with, and this is going to be more of a demo session, more on the demo, and very less on the theory. So please stop me in between, or put your questions on chat whenever you have questions to ask, and I'll try to resolve it immediately. Okay, so I have I'll start with my session. First of all, we have few dependencies which we need to download and perform. Okay, so these dependencies I would start with is the very important Python, which we need to download. We can get that downloaded from this URL, python.org, or you can simply Google search Python download. Secondly, we will require the latest version of the PyCharm Professional, which is an integrated development environment for Python. That is and that is available on the owner of this ID is JetBrains. So here's the URL I have put on the slide for your information, or else you can simply search. You can simply Google search PyCharm download. And the third and important is the driver which is used with Selenium. So here I'm using only Chrome browser to demonstrate all the actions which we'll be seeing. So Chrome driver we need to install. The .exe file is available on the chromedriver.chromium.org URL, or you can again simply Google search say Chrome driver download for Google. Very important thing is the Chrome driver.exe which you download should be corresponding to your Chrome version in your machine. So I would suggest everyone to go to their Chrome browsers. I would show that up. Here I'll go and okay, I can go to help and about Chrome, and I can see the version which I have. So I have version 880, which I can see here, and you can also go ahead and check your own versions before downloading the Chrome driver, because if the Chrome driver is not appropriate, your execution won't help out properly. Okay, so I'll go back to my presentation. So this is also one of the dependency or downloadable which you have to get. And the other things are understanding of Python language or any other programming language is also enough, because Python is the, I would say, looking at the other languages, is the simplest programming language which we can use to code, to automate, or anything which requires coding. And very importantly, we need some patience, because at times PyCharm is being a heavy tool. It takes time to respond to whatever actions we have performed. Okay. So I will start with showing you the installation of Python. I won't install it but I will have to show you because my intention today to make everyone understand how can we break the ice with Python. Everyone thinks Python is a little difficult to start with to understand, but it is not so. You will be able to you will be able to pick up Python really easy as compared to other programming languages, for example Java. So I'll go to this URL. I'll just quickly show you how that those things work. So on Python or python.org, the website is fairly smart to understand what operating system you are using, and it gives the appropriate downloadable version. And this downloadable version, whichever we can see on the screen right now, is the most stable one. So you can simply go ahead and click on it and get Python downloaded to your machine. So I'm not going to download because I already downloaded for this kind of demo purpose. So once we have the downloaded file, we can simply like install Python. So a very important thing I want to inform, I'm not going to show all the Python installation steps because it is fairly easy to understand because every installation will be like that. Very important thing I want to inform is you always remember to check this checkbox, add Python 3.8 to path variable. So this statement you can understand those who have a good idea on the usage of IDEs. So the Python will be installed on your machine, and the path of that particular installation will be saved into the path variable of your environment variables. So that is really important to understand because the time we try to use Python in for other tools, in that case, it gets a little difficult if the path of Python installation is not there in the path variable. Okay, so I'm going to cancel now because I already have the Python installed, but I'll show you how to ensure that Python is installed or not. Okay, so you simply have to launch your command prompt and just you just enter the command Python. Okay, you will see additional additional you can say your GUI is additional dialog box or additional area is seen, which is of Python, and the version you can see 3.6.4. So I don't have the latest version right now, but I would really suggest to download the latest version, and it should be there in your machines if you wish to start to work on Selenium with Python. So with this, you can be sure that Python is installed. So for now, I'm going to exit because that's how I have to show. So now, since we are done with Python installation, my next task is to install the PyCharm Professional IDE. I am stressing on Professional Word because that's the free version available with PyCharm. The other is paid version, so we don't have to do that as of now. So I'll again show you. We'll go to this URL, which is or simply you can Google search PyCharm download. You will be seeing these two options to download. So go for the free trial, download the professional version, and there is no time, or you can say there is no as such timeline that this professional version is available for a free trial. It is like available for you all the time, unless you wish to download community version, or you're always welcome, but it is paid. Or sorry, it's not paid as such, but it needs a lot of other community support, which is why we go for a professional version. Okay, so again, I am not going to download because I already have this .exe downloaded for this demo purpose. I'm just wanted to inform that there is this ID is on a heavier side. It's around 350 MB. So have a check on your internet usages as well. So once we have this .exe in our place, in our machines, again, I'm not going through the complete installation process because I already have this installed in my
Hi
machine.
Shreyas, Harsh here. So there is
Yeah.
a request that can you please share the URLs once again?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I will put that in the chat box.
Sure, that would be great.
Yeah, yeah. Just give me five to 6 minutes for that. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go through the complete setup of this IDE, but again, an important thing, whichever folder path you want to wish, you can enter here to install uh, the IDE. And again, similar to Python, again, I request everyone to add this launcher directory to your environment variable, which is in path. It will be easier for the IDE to launch and work on itself. Okay. Now I'm going to cancel because I already have the PyCharm professional version installed on my machine. So as Harsh has asked me, I'm going to paste both the all three of the URLs into our chat box. Just bear with me. So there you go. Okay, so I'll proceed. So like we have seen the installation process of all three Python, then the PyCharm IDE, and I'll also show. I mean, it is equally important to also download the Chrome driver. And since we just saw my Chrome version is 80. I'll just recheck that quickly. Yeah, it is 80. So, okay, there is a new download available, but I'm not going to install the new one because I again have downloaded the Chrome driver is compatible with 80 version. So here in this downloads area, you can see the Chrome driver available for different versions of Chrome. Okay, so I have downloaded this 80 version and I have kept it in a folder path, which I'm going to use in my program. So far so good. Any doubts, any questions so far to initiate this Python, PyCharm, IDE, Chrome driver, anything?
No, I think it is going great. Keep it up. Thanks.
Great, perfect, thanks. So I'll proceed. So I'll just start. I have compiled few of the few of the programmatic steps which I have to show, but I prefer to start the demonstration myself. Before that, I just wanted to check if is this theme black and white is comfortable for everyone to see, or should I change it to?
Fine, not an issue.
Not an issue. I think
Sounds
I can
good.
see it clearly.
Sounds
I
great.
prefer the classic one.
Okay, fine. I'll just make it more viewable. So yeah, it is now properly viewable for everyone, I hope. Well, so I have prepared a very high level understanding of Python. Just guessing that if, like most of us have a good idea of, or at least one of the programming language which we had learned in our college days, or maybe you can you have tried trying to understand these languages yourself sometime. So my basic idea here is that everyone understands what Python can help on. Okay, which is why I'm showing you a small demonstration of all the small important things, like for example the data types. So I have here made it like each I have not showed that which data type of variable I want to show. That is a beauty, or you can say a feature in Python. You can initiate a variable without telling Python that what kind of data type you want to, what kind of data you have to assign to that particular variable. So this is what I have showed. So I have assigned value 15 to a variable called number int. So this int is just for your understanding. I can simply remove it, not a problem. Okay, so other things is like number float, some float value I have put in, then a number string to which I have assigned a string value, and a character variable, which is the variable is name is flag character, and the variable I have put is as y. So I'll just print and show. I'll just run this, and you can see it will print the number value. I'll also print. So again, here is something different you are learning. Print command in Python can take up as many possible things to print together, and we can see everything is printed with a space.
Sorry, Shreyas, can you add a Boolean variable also?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just assigning a value here, and we'll print it. So it will print the value of that. Okay, all the data types, whatever value I want to put into a variable, it is auto understood by Python, and it is considered that way. Okay, so this is only for your understanding purpose. You might be aware about the few of the data types, and only the modification here is we don't name the type of data which we want to provide to the variable. Okay, so simple thing. So far so good. Any questions so far? I hope not. Okay.
Going great. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So the next part I can think of is lists. Again, a very simple thing to understand. I have taken up only those kind of Python features which we might be using into our programs, and it will be easier to understand if at all we have an idea of those things in before going to actual program. So here we can see two types of lists which we can initiate. So the list we can see are similar to arrays, what we use in Java. Okay, and they are similar but not exactly the same. So you can see here the various type of data also can be accommodated into a single list, which can be a integer value, which can be a string value, a float, anything. So I have commented this one, and I'll just execute this to show what happens. It simply prints, no big deal into that. Okay, there are few other methods also available with the lists, which I can show. Again, no importance of these things, but I'm just doing it for everyone's understanding what is exactly we going to understand on the Selenium. This so far we're only working on the Python. Okay, fine. So we have lists dot append, which will add a extra node at the end of the list. Okay, all right. I'll just print it. Before that, and you can see that before the append, it was these many values, but the extra value peach is appended at the end. And another feature in Python is we can extend one list with the other. That fruits is a list which has all the character which has all the string type of values inside it, but we can also extend with another string. So I won't append now. I'll just simply execute this to show you what happens. So earlier the fruits list was only character values, but now it also has its own value as well as the other list values. So another feature you can say added in list here in Python. There are other features like remove. You can remove any specific value inside the list, and the value can be the value can be removed using the actual value of that particular node, or using the uh, index of that. So here you can see I am trying to remove the value peach. Okay, and same thing I'm doing here as well. I'm doing pop fruits dot pop 3. So 3 is the index of the value which I want to remove. So here cherry, apple, banana. The banana is the third one, so it will be removed. I'll show you. Okay. Okay, I have not added the peach, which is why it is not able to understand where is peach. So as I commented that. So now you can see the peach got added, and using the remove, the peach got removed. Okay, and also the element number 3 at index 3 is removed, but since I have not printed list, that's why it is not showing the value. So now we can see, sorry, my bad. See, the indexes in Python again start at 0, not at 1. So it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. So here mango is removed. You can see here, mango is no more in the new list. Okay, so similar to that, we have one more feature, negative indexing, wherein we can request we can remove those values from the list at from referencing the last element of that. So -3 I mean here is, so considering this is my list from the result, so -3 is third from the last, so it is last, that is x, you can say x minus 1. X minus 1 is 2015, x minus 1 is 2012, x minus 3 is 12.43 value. So with -3 it will remove the last third last element from this particular list. I'll execute this. So basically I'm removing from third, so last grape, pear, and orange. So orange should be removed. You'll see that. So you can see orange value, which is the only thing which is not present in the new list. Okay, so list was again a important feature which we would be using it ahead. Then I'll come with some Python one more feature wherein we are going to accept some values from the user. I'll just quickly wrap it up so that we can go to the actual topic. So with this, we can accept values from the user. So at the moment I run it, if I enter values, 70 marks to 85. So it will, so you can also see here the typecasting which I have done. The input is the method which I'm using here to take input from the user, and I'm directly typecasting that to float. I'm considering that whatever marks value I'm going to enter is going to be a float or an integer. Irrespective of that, I'm going to take that value and float in the variable, and I'm using that variable to add into it, and also find out the average marks. Okay, again, very simple, not so difficult to understand, but I want to show that to be on a safer side. Then just a couple of few of the conditional loops. So here I'm using if loop, if wherein I'm putting a condition that if the average marks value, whichever I got here, is more than 80, then I'll say pass with distinction mode. Okay, so here is one more new thing to learn apart from Java or other programming languages we have. So I'm putting a open and close curly braces, and after that I'm using a format kind of method here to and the value here in the average marks will be entered wherever it finds the open and curly braces. Okay, so we'll see that. Okay, now we have to Okay, so so again, similar to that, even in Python, we have if and then condition, and important syntax here, we have to enter a colon. Okay, you can see here we are not using open and curly braces to show the limit of a class or a method or a if condition as such, because in Python it is very important to use the indent. Okay, so the moment I click press enter after the if after the colon, I can see an auto indent added to the value I'm going to enter. Okay, so it is this is the very important thing, and the indent itself tells the Python that all the values after the indent are a part of that particular class or variable or method being executed. So we have if, then we have elif here, elif with a condition, and at the end we have an else. You can also nest it as per your requirement. So I'll just quickly run it to show you. I have to make it more than 80, so 89. So you can see the value if was executed, pass with distinction marks, and the average marks was put in the place where I have entered it open and close curly braces. Okay, so similar to if, we also have
Excuse me, Shreyas. Like,
yeah.
if it is one more variable needs to be printed with the curly braces, so how
Okay,
we going to
yeah,
just add total marks also in that for just for
sure. So it is as simple as that. I'll make the sentence understandable, and okay, after I'll just put total marks, comma. Okay, so it will understand all these variables, and it will only find out these places wherever you can see open and close curly braces. I'll run it once again and I'll show. So you can see the total marks value 174 was put in here, where we found first curly brace, and the average marks was put in the second open curly brace area.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So the next part is through the for loop and a while loop. I try to show a quick thing. I'm just going to comment it out so that they won't execute. Okay, so for loop is again very similar to Java. If you have gone through Java or other programming languages, but here it is each element it is iterated. So in Java we have something like for I equal to something that we are not using so much here in Python, because every time we do that is more of a individual element is considered from the list or range anything. So here's a couple of examples I'm showing. So for fruit, in is the keyword again, and fruits is the list name which we earlier declared here in the list section, and this will print individual element one by one. So similar to that, we have also for number again is a variable, and the range of that number will be 1 to 11. And again, I'm using the format method here. I'm printing the number is with the open and close curly brace. So I'll execute to show how it executes. So in each element of the list is printed one by one using the for loop, and the other for loop is doing I'm printing this, the number is text, and after that this value of that. Okay, so again it's quite simple to understand. And the last one is while loop, again quite similar, easy to understand, wherein I'm running a set of code until a particular value is reached. So now I'm using the temperature as 36, and until it is greater than 30, I'm going to print water. The water is at so and so degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm reducing the value of temperature variable. Okay, so without wasting much time, I'll just execute this. So you can see the moment it became equal to 30, Yeah, so the moment it became equal to 32, though it was falling in the while condition, it came out of the loop and printed the value whatever we were showing. Okay, again, not that difficult to understand, but just a prerequisite kind of a thing I wanted to show. Okay, so now we'll go. Okay, so before that, any questions onto these small fundamentals of Python which you just saw?
No, I think
Actually,
it's going to. Yeah.
Okay, great, fine.
yeah, actually, it's like I
Yeah.
just wanted to know the shortcut key for commenting, uncommenting, and
Okay.
for formatting the indent. That is very important, right? Like it's something shortcut is there, right?
Well, there is
And
no shortcut for indent. Okay, I'll just show you. If I start if a is greater than 3, and if I put a colon here, the next line will always be an auto indent. You don't have to add an indent. And if at all I am trying to nest, so I'll say inside this less than 6, and I put a colon. So colon is the key here, which tells Python that we need to indent the next line.
okay, but
Okay, it
there
is
is
auto indented.
yeah, that's I got it. But if something misses something somewhere, some menu option is there or something shortcut is there. I have done it, but I am searching. I am not getting it again. Maybe you know
For what exactly? Means
indent.
okay,
So if
indent
when
is
yes,
simple. I had pressed tab and
yeah.
go. So,
No, somewhere I got that formatting whole file.
oh, I
So
see.
that I missed it. Somewhere I did it, and I later I could not able to get it. Yep. Okay, I'll search it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, and your other question is the
Comment and
short. Yeah, the shortcut to comment a bunch of line is control plus slash. It's a reverse slash. If you press that, it will comment those lines.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now we'll move ahead. With Python, we again have a few dependencies inside Python, because since Python is a language which also deals with some additional features, we will require some kind of PyCharm dependencies which we need to download. Okay, so the first dependency I am showing is PIP. Okay, so PIP is responsible for downloading any kind of a package which we need. Okay, so and PIP is always already there with whenever we install Python. Okay, now the other dependency is Selenium, which we have to install. Okay, and the third one is OpenPyXL. So this particular package helps us to deal with the Excel Microsoft Excel read write. Okay, so now what we'll do is we will start with creating a new project in PyCharm, so that everyone understands that how we can create a new project, and we can also install all the dependencies which we need. Okay, so simple. We have to go to File menu and say New Project. Okay, now I'm just going to tell some important things here. But the moment we are going to create a new project, there is also some other things happening behind the scenes. Fine. So I'm just going to put my project name. It can be ATA demo 25 APR. Okay. Now the moment I am entering this value, you can see a virtual environment is getting created. Okay, if I modify my project name, you can see there is a path behind for the a project is being modified automatically. Okay, and inside that a virtual environment is getting created the moment I try to create a project. Okay, so this virtual environment provides Python to execute whatever files are put up in that particular project, and that's how the installation works. Okay, and along with the or along the virtual environment path, you can also see a base interpreter which is automatically assigned. Okay, so now this is the python.exe which I installed. Okay, during my installation I use this particular path, and my python.exe stays there. Okay, I also have one more other product which I installed, that's Anaconda, but I'm not going to use that as well. Okay, so now what happens is the moment I click on create, a project will be created. Okay, so you can attach. So see, you can see creating virtual environment will come up. So this virtual environment will help Python or basically PyCharm to execute all the files inside that particular project folder and show the result then and there into the console. Okay, so it will take few minutes to create a virtual environment. Just bear with me. Excuse me. So meanwhile, the virtual environment gets created. Is there any questions anyone wants to ask so far? Okay,
So-
fine, no problem. Okay, so the virtual environment is created and our project also is created. So we have this project created, okay, and along with that we have the virtual environment also created. Okay, so now I don't have to worry about all these folders and extra things. Fine, I'm just showing you for your visibility. I will create a new file. So what I have to do is I have to right click on the project which I have just now created and click on new, and I have to select a Python file from this. Okay, if you want, you can create a directory inside that you can create a Python file. Okay, so now we are not creating a directory since we are going to a procedural way of Python execution. Okay, I'll come to that once again. I'll name it as okay. So now my Python file basically it is renamed to the file name what I entered .py. Okay, and the Python file is ready to be whatever I want to enter it, I can do it here. Okay, so here a very important thing now, since our project is having no specific packages present there. Okay, so we will do a small setup for those packages. I'll go to settings and in my okay, I have to go to project interpreter, and in the list of projects I will find my project, that is ATA demo 25 April. So here you can see PIP is automatically installed, and there is something set up tools, which is a part of PyCharm itself that also aligns with the newly created project. So now my plan is to download the Selenium package and the OpenPy Excel package. Though it is not required for me right now, I'll still install for your information. So what I have to do here is I have to click on plus symbol. Moment I go inside the project interpreter, I select my project and I click on plus sign. Plus sign will show a list of all the available packages present with PyCharm that can be utilized. Okay, so there's a huge library available. There are several available packages available there. You can put it to use for anything you want. So for me, I need a Selenium package as of now. So I'll search for Selenium and get it. Okay, and whatever version I have, I'll just click on install package. So it will take a few minutes. So meanwhile that installs, I'll show a quick, okay, fine, never mind. It has installed now. Similar to that, I'll also search OpenPy Excel and I'll install that also. Its description is a Python library used to read write Excel 2010 files. Excel that. Meanwhile, it installs. I will open a command prompt and I'll show you another way how I can install it. So similar to the one which we are doing right now, in a command prompt, we can do similar things. The PIP is the tool. So I can say PIP install Selenium. Okay. So this is a command which I can use to install any package I want. So similar to Selenium, I can also put OpenPyXL. Okay. The moment I hit enter, it will search for the package which name I have provided, and will try to download that and try to install. But it is already finding that the package is already present in my machine, so it is not downloading. Okay, so this is another way that you can get the required package installed yourself. Okay, so okay, back to our PyCharm. So again, this also is installed. If I close it, I'll see some more packages also got installed automatically. So Selenium and OpenPyXL was the two I installed. The other were the dependencies which automatically got installed. Okay, so now we are good to go, and we are good to start to good to go and write a new code whichever we are going to execute. Okay, so in my Python file, that is Agile Testing Alliance. So okay, I have put up a agenda wherein what I plan is so for the first part, understanding Python programming, we went through that. Okay, I'll go through the unique element identification during the time we are also doing the third one. Okay, so my plan is to go to the agiletestingalliance.org website and click on the chapters hyperlink. Okay, so now before going to Agile Testing Alliance, I will quickly show the uh, unique element identification. So I'm choosing demowebshot.tricentental.com. It is a good testing web application which I can use. Okay, so I want to stress on this point because this is the most important one. Because if at all we don't have a unique identification of elements in our place, it will be a difficult task to proceed with automation. So okay, so first of all, I'll go through a subscribe button here. So I'll just right click on that and click on inspect. Okay, so here I can see. Okay, so can anyone tell me what kind of XPath I should write to identify this element? I'm stressing on XPath because that is very widely used. There are other ways also, but let's go with XPath for now.
ID is there, right?
ID, we can actually go for the ID @ID equal to.
Perfect. So I'll use the XPath as okay. My node is input, so I'll say input dot / input, and in square brackets I will say ID equals to. So my ID is okay. I lost it. This is my ID. I'll put in single quotes. Okay. So I can see 1 of 1. So that means my XPath is accurate. Okay. So similar to that. Okay. So there is one more thing which we can do. Okay. So as to create an XPath, which will be a unique one every time. Okay. We have this particular word subscribe. Okay. Okay. We'll take another example. Maybe a newsletter. This is a word. Okay. Okay, I want to show a example where we can just see the text. Yeah, there we go. So here, this is the text available on the web page. Okay, now this particular text can be uniquely identified using an XPath, no doubt. But what happens at times is we tend to not find this text properly, and if at all this text is not seen on a particular place. Okay, so there we can use the text function and contains function together to find out this. Okay, so I'm going to use okay, first of all I'll see which element I'm trying to see. It's to contains. Welcome to our store is my text I'm looking for. I'm going to use / contains text function comma the value.
We are not able to see the code.
All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see it is white. Okay. How about now? It is good.
Yeah.
Contains is equals to. Okay, so now I'm using the contains method to identify whatever text I'm looking at. Okay, now this is again a unique identification of the text which I am going to do. Okay, other buttons, other checkboxes also will have a unique identification like that. But no, I won't waste much of time here, and I'll go to our demo which we have planned. So I'll quickly write a small code for you to understand. Okay, so first of all, I have to import the WebDriver from the Selenium package. So I'm saying from Selenium import. Sorry. WebDriver. Okay, so it will again give me all the suggestions which are wherever possible. So now I'm importing, and similar to Java, I'm also going to instantiate my WebDriver. So I'll name it as maybe D equals to. Okay. Okay, I'll go with this. It will be quicker. WebDriver. I'm going to use Chrome browser, and I'm going to give the path of my Chrome driver. So I've kept my Chrome driver in this particular path. Just going to copy that path. This Chrome driver is compatible with my uh, Chrome version. Okay. Now here in Python we can do one thing. At times we have seen the path is not properly understood by the programming the IDE. So to make it a raw data, I can enter a small r before the text the value inside the double quotes, so that Python will translate that value into a raw data, and it can be realized appropriately. Okay, so I also initiate an implicit wait d dot. So I have declared it. Okay, should be capitals. Say d dot implicitly wait, and the value here I can give it is in seconds. So 5 seconds I'll keep, just to be on a safer side. And now I will do d dot get and the URL of the application. So that's my URL. Okay, now next thing I'll do is now I'll do a find element. So in Python we have these methods, so many methods available. Find element. It's very similar to what we have in Selenium with Java, but everything here is underscore. Okay, so find underscore element underscore by underscore all the different ways, by link text, by XPath ID, class name, everything. Okay, so what my plan is here is after waiting for this URL to URL to load, I will click on the chapters. So since chapters is a like a link text, I will use find element by link text, give the value as chapters all caps, and after that I'm going to say dot click. I want to click on it. Okay, you must have already seen that I'm not putting any semicolon, because that's how Python is. It makes things easy. Okay, so now this is a simple code, and most importantly, this is in a procedural way. Okay, I will execute this and see if we get any errors. Okay, it's asking me to allow. behind the scenes is also launching the browser. So it has launched the browser. It has also browsed to the URL which I have provided, but it has not clicked on chapters yet because the URL is still loading.
I think you have also said chapter without S.
Right? Okay. Yeah, correct. Okay. I'll just increase the implicit wait to 10 seconds.
Acha, by the way, Shreyas, you have got another 10 minutes to wrap things, okay?
Okay, fine, 10 minutes.
Ah,
I'll try to quickly
sorry.
make it. Okay, this is the procedural way of the code to execute. So let's launch the browser and enter the URL. Okay, it has found the chapters link and it has clicked on it. Okay, so this is how we can like, this is a very small code I've shown to like demonstrate how easy it can become when we use Python, when compared to Java, when where we have to write a lot more number of lines to just do this small task. Okay, since you have short of time, I will just show other code which I have prepared for the this demonstration. Okay, so what I'm doing here is so I'm using this particular Trisimulus test web application to see. Okay, and what I'm doing here is I have saved my email and password into and variable. Okay, and it will you can see it will find the element by link test, and it will click on that, then find the element by ID, which is the username field, enter the email address, enter the password, and it will click on the login button, and it will figure out if the login is successful or not. If it is, then it will print test pass in the console, and it will also perform logout and close the browser. If it is failed,
add one assert statement.
okay, right now I'm not using assert because the assertion is the next kind of thing which I want to I want to showcase. Okay, so just see the execution of the code. I'll come up whenever we are going to do the assertions. So I'm executing this code. So the browser is launched. Then I'll be entering the URL after maximize. I click login, I enter the values, and I say test pass. Okay, so now my motive here was to show that this is the way we can do a procedural way of execution into the into PyCharm. Okay, now my another topic for today was to explain about the frameworks. Okay, so I chose POM framework is the best way to that everyone will understand. Okay, so POM framework, by that what I do is I am creating the page objects for individual page. Okay, in a single directory. Okay, for example, this POM objects I'm creating. This is for the home page. Okay, so I'm using a homepage function here. Okay, I've created a class of named homepage, and I've put all the important values or the very all the can say the buttons or links which I'm going to use in that particular homepage. Similar to that, on the registration page also, I have several things covered. Okay, and here I also created a function. Okay, so you can see the syntax here is quite different. Here, to define a function, we have to say def function name, and we have to provide a self keyword here. Okay, I'll cover the self maybe sometime later. Fine. So after this is done, all the page classes are created in one of the directory, and along with that, I have another directory which is for mainly tests. Okay. So all the test methods will be provided, will be present in one of the file only. Okay. So here the syntax you can see. This is the syntax wherein I have to use PyUnit. Okay, similar to TestNG where we have JUnit. Similar to that, we have a PyUnit framework here which we are using to in the testing. Okay, so in the okay in
Can you
okay,
explain?
I'll try to finish it in 7 minutes, Adi. I hope that's okay. I'll try to make it at till 5.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah.
Perfect,
Can
perfect.
you expand import, please?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you expand?
Okay, okay, yeah. Okay. So I'll try to explain as more as I can. Fine. So this is one thing. Import unit test. So unit test is very analogous to the JUnit in Java, and here we call it PyUnit. Okay, and PyUnit framework is basically used by the developers. Okay, PyTest is another tool which we can use and which is tester friendly, and in that we have everything similar to TestNG. It is analogous to TestNG in Java. Okay, so after unit test import, I am also importing some other files which are kind of my helper files. Okay, so from this particular you can say I have traversed to the uh, I have traversed to a particular file, and from that file I'm importing a particular method. Okay, so if you see, this traversal goes to POM implementation, POM demo web shop tests, and inside that WebDriver utility. So in this WebDriver utility, I am trying to import this supply driver. Okay, and what this is basically, it is just to supply the .exe whichever browser I'm going to choose, be it Chrome, Firefox, or IE. Okay, so next is I'm creating a so similar to TestNG. Okay, we have here something called a setup class and tear down. Okay, these are like similar to before test and after test. Okay, and just have a look on this syntax, which is like kind of a hard-coded thing. You have to follow the same for creating these methods inside by PyCharm. Okay, so you have to create a class whose name start with test, and inside that we have to pass unit test.test case. Okay, this is again an inbuilt feature, inbuilt method which we have to provide. Okay, and to each class, sorry, to each method which is going to be a very analogous to before test and after test, the name should be setup class and tear down class. Excuse me. And though both the methods should be annotated with @class method. This is a something very important to follow, since Python has these things into their uh, unit test package available. Okay, so in the setup class, what I'm doing, I'm collecting the driver, and then I'm also like collecting all the homepage related stuff, and then the registration related stuff, which I have already stored into other files. And then I'm doing a maximize window. I'm also implicitly wait for 10 seconds, and then I'm doing a driver.get, wherein I am browsing to my application under test URL. Okay, so we'll go to the teardown method is simple. It is simply closing the browser, nothing more. So here is an interesting thing. What I'm trying to do okay, one more thing I want to tell, that whichever test method I want to declare, the test method name should start with the keyword test. Okay. After that, whatever you want to write, you can. So similar to that, for that I have written here test one underscore registration page test. Okay. So this is a kind of page object model framework which we are seeing here. that all the page in the project, and they are available because each page class